Imagine YouTube was exactly the same as how it is now, but there was no opportunity for monetization at all. How would that change your perspective?
I don't even know. I mean, a lot, I think.
With no monetization, people don't need to get 1,000 subscribers anymore. They don't need to get 4,000 watch hours anymore. And all of a sudden, it's just like all these sort of superficial success signs and benchmarks, they just kind of fade away and people could just make videos that they like. And I think that when you take away all of the benefits of doing YouTube, like financial benefits that a lot of people are after, I think a lot of people wouldn't do it.
Welcome back to Creator Files Podcast. Publishing frequency is an interesting topic because sometimes it surprises you. And lately we've seen some things that have been surprising and we've really wanted to try some more unique things. So you mentioned an example earlier today. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I don't know that, like you said, there's such a wide variety of publishing schedules. You know, you see creators who publish all the time, like every day, sometimes multiple times a day. But then there are creators that we see, you know, Mark Rober, other YouTubers who are doing really extensive style videos, and some aren't, that publish once a month, twice a month. But I've even come across a YouTuber who publishes, he says essentially just whenever he wants. So he doesn't technically have a publishing schedule in the traditional sense, but
which doesn't end up being a lot.
Yeah. Like honestly, I just looked at his channel. Last year he published 2 videos. It's been a year since he's published a video. The year before that, I think he published 3.
So wild.
And he has like 7 million. So like he's grown just over the past few years really, really well.
Huge.
His content's really engaging. I've listened to him on podcasts. He talks about how he still has Patreon supporters, and he tells them like, literally, guys, you should not be signing up for this. But if you want to, like, he says he neglects them terribly, but he's still successful. Yeah. So what is it? What we always hear all this advice, like consistency, but it's like, what does that mean? Is that, for me, is it like every day? Is it once a week? Is it every other week? Is it once a month? Does it really matter?
Right. So my first question is the recognizability. Are his videos great enough, or his personality, or something about the content? Is it so recognizable that even though people have not seen a video on their homepage for 6 months or a year, they're still recognizing it and knowing who they're getting when they click?
Probably. I think he's often on the thumbnail.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, he doesn't publish. And then all of a sudden you see him and it's like, wait a second. Did he finally release a video, you know?
Yeah. And I wonder, does YouTube, you know, people act like, oh, YouTube cares so much about your publishing frequency. Do they?
Yeah.
Or do they just care about how often you have repeat viewers and how often your past viewers are choosing to engage with your future content?
Yeah. I have a little bit of a scenario.
Okay.
We'll see if it makes sense. Okay. So yesterday I was talking to my parents about grass. Yeah. We just recently put in a lawn, and I have no idea how to keep it alive. So we were talking about watering the lawn, and I asked the question, how long should I be watering my lawn every time that I turn the sprinklers on? And we got into this whole conversation about the value of watering for a certain amount of time in our area based on how hot it gets, and longer periods of watering encourage the roots of the grass to grow deeper, which makes it hardier and stronger. So when it does get really hot, it's more likely to survive.
Cool.
But there are some people, in order to try and get their grass greener earlier or faster or more consistently, they will water more frequently. So like rather than once a day for 10 minutes, they'll water twice a day for 5 minutes.
Okay.
But the problem is, like, so their grass is green, but it doesn't get the roots deep, right? It only encourages very shallow root growth. And so the grass isn't as hardy, it isn't as strong. So in the really hot summer, it's just not going to stay as long, right? It's not going to be as green.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is making any sense, but it's what you train the grass or the audience to expect, right? So if you train the audience to expect a video every week, then YouTube probably will reward that.
Seems like a surprisingly perfect analogy. Of like the more frequent but less quality.
Right.
Is, it's sustaining. It maybe looks good in short term.
Yeah.
That is really awesome.
Yeah. And so like maybe less frequent does grow strong roots for a very core audience.
Yeah.
And if the quality is there, like it really does sustain that audience growth. But like you said, more frequently, maybe sometimes it can be valuable. Maybe you have the appearance of a really good active audience, but the second you stop publishing, you kind of fall out of mind.
Yeah, I think you can maybe prolong the life of your channel too, especially if you're not doing any other channels. I think ideally it doesn't really matter if your channel starts to die because you'll know how to pivot and come back with some more interesting, unique content than you've done in the past. But I think you can prolong the life of the content that is kind of similar if you space out the publishing more, leaving people wanting more.
Right.
Instead of just, here's plenty, here's all you could want. I know a lot of channels will like try to stop doing one style of video before it gets old, but probably not enough. Most people don't think about that until they're really seeing a decrease in views and they're panicking.
Yeah.
But if you're publishing once a year, they're always going to not miss a video if they're a fan, right? They're never going to like, oh, I don't need to see that one, probably. You're just going to get so much more, such a higher percentage of people watching every video on your channel, which YouTube really likes, the average views per viewer. If you have 3 videos and everyone has seen all 3 videos or 6 videos, that looks pretty good to the algorithm. So it's interesting.
I think there probably does need to be some balance. I think you brought up a really good point though. So this channel that I talked about that's only published like 4 videos in the past 2 or 3 years. They have like 50 videos on their channel and they joined YouTube, I think, in 2016. So if you averaged those out over the past, 8 years now, you know, they're not doing that many videos, but they are doing at least a couple a year on average. And I think they did more early on. And then in the last few years, they've kind of let it die off just a little bit. But when they still publish, they still get the same amount of views as they did when they were publishing more frequently. So it feels like for YouTube channel growth, some amount of frequency or consistency, probably more often in 1 year, is going to be better for a whole slew of reasons. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit. I like what you said, leaving them wanting a little more. There's something to that. There are a couple channels that I really like. I've really liked for a couple years now, and they published once a week to start, and then they went to 2 a week, and now they're at 3 a week. And I found myself not watching all their videos anymore. I used to consume every video that they put out. And so I think there's just a little bit of viewer fatigue there, or it's like, I'm mildly interested in this topic, but I'm more interested in this other video they put out. I'm going to watch that one, and I only have time for one video today. You know, like there's just these scenarios where you're kind of forced to choose if you're going to watch all their content or not. Let's pivot a little bit and talk about reasons why.
Yeah, I want to know your reasons for why publishing more frequently. I mean, I agree, but I'm curious.
I think number one, for people who are especially just trying to grow a channel, you need repetition. You need practice. We make tons of videos about how to improve skills on YouTube, like you know, production skills, setting up your lights, your camera, editing, all these different things. The more you work through that process, the more likely you are to be better at that process. And so I think you just need it. If you publish 2 videos a year and you're only working through the entire production process twice,
that's
not
practice.
Near enough at all. So to me, that's probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
It's more of an internal reason than an external reason.
It's so true though. Like, in theory, if you have, clearly it's proven, at least in this one instance, that if you have these amazing videos, you can still have a somewhat of a loyal audience. You know, I don't know what percentage of his viewers are loyal, but the videos do great. 7 million subscribers.
Yeah.
And some portion of his audience is loyal enough to subscribe on a Patreon. He tells them not to subscribe on. Like, it's working, but you're not going to get to having videos that good if you don't practice all the time. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. If you go into it thinking, oh, I'm just going to do once a year videos.
Yeah.
It's going to take you 45 years. That's way too long.
So how do you think you can figure out if where you're at in your channel currently, like whoever's listening to this, how can they figure out if they are currently publishing too infrequently and should up their repetitions, up their publishing frequency, or if they should slow down, focus more on putting a little more time in each video and quality, or focus on publishing more when they want to? What are your thoughts?
I think there's sort of this window of acceptability, probably. If you're publishing more than every other day currently, so if you're publishing 3 to 4 videos a week, you should evaluate and see if that's too much. If you're publishing less than, I don't know, a video and a half, 2 videos a month, so 2 videos total, you should evaluate. If you're anywhere in the middle, you're probably okay. Yeah. If you're doing a video a week or 2 videos a week or 1 video every 2 weeks, you're probably fine. You know, maybe one will take you a little bit longer, one will take you a little bit shorter. But if you're publishing 5 videos a week or publishing 1 video a month, you're on the outskirts of being in kind of the danger zone for growth, in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's nice to be able to publish when you feel inspired. Like he said, he only publishes when he wants to, and he doesn't want to very often.
Yeah.
But I think you can kind of control how often you want to by how often you are getting inspired. I've noticed this with my own channels. Like if I'm not in it a lot and watching other content and reading books and getting ideas, I'm never, ever going to feel inspired.
Yeah.
But maybe once a year, not much more than that.
Right.
But if you're in it, then you feel inspired. And sometimes it is nice to be able to get that inspiration without the pressure of like, I need a video idea right now. But if you schedule time to like be in the niche and just ruminate, and maybe you have an eventual deadline for when you want to have the idea fleshed out enough that you decided to do it. But I think that helps a lot. And then you're kind of going to want to make videos. I think there's a couple things that go into not wanting to make videos. I think a big part of it is perfectionism and pressure, and just especially if you enjoy the topic. Like if you're still not wanting to, even though you love the topic, you might be putting too much pressure on yourself. And so then it's about finding a balance of trying to improve without putting pressure on yourself for the outcome, which is rough. And also just not spending enough time in it, you know.
Yeah.
I think chasing or chasing the ideas you want to do. Even if it's not the publishing frequency that you would default to, it might be a little more lazy than what you're going for. You can still chase the ideas you want to do. Another thing I wanted to talk about today was different kinds of like videos that may not be your standard publishing schedule, full length videos, but maybe you're doing lives. Maybe the lives even go longer than regular videos, probably do, or like other.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Scared it away.
Or other kinds of videos, like shorter videos. Sometimes we like want to make a video that doesn't really fit our channel topic.
Right.
So we'll publish a second time in the week instead of our typical Monday publish. We say, okay, well, it'll be a Thursday video or a Friday video, and it might be just a different style. You know, it's just as long, or maybe it's shorter, but we're still getting that thing out there that we want to get to our audience without the pressure of it like living up to the standard of our weekly publish. Yeah,
I think that's a really good thing to talk about, because a lot of times we get so in our heads about what is it going to do to the channel?
Yeah.
It's just like, if you do something that benefits the audience, number one, or you do something that you really like or you're excited about, it's more than likely going to have a positive outcome in most cases.
Yeah.
We have made a couple mistakes where we'll try something and it just doesn't work. But did it hurt the channel long term? Probably not. I just doubt that it really does, because you're going to publish again.
Right.
You know? And I love some of these extra types of content, things that are just a little bit out of maybe your normal wheelhouse. I think that it's good to break it up a little bit, because there are people out there in your audience currently who probably like to consume other types of content. You know, we all say that, you know, people mostly consume all long form or all short form or all streams or whatever. I think maybe people have their preferences, but I probably primarily watch long form, but I also watch some short form, and I also watch some lives.
Yeah.
And so when my favorite creators kind of branch out a little bit and I see a creator go live who never goes live, I'll watch it, because I'm curious, you know, what are they going to do? They never do this. Or if I see a short, I'm like, oh, that's weird. They never do shorts.
And that's kind of back to the scarcity. Like you want it because you can't get it very much.
Exactly.
Which is interesting.
So that's a really good point. So you can maintain a very consistent publishing schedule, but still play with that scarcity a little bit by doing other forms of content, which is kind of cool.
For sure. I don't know. I don't even like saying that we've had videos that didn't work. Like you said that a bit ago. I've got a nitpick. Sometimes we have videos that are 10 out of 10 and they don't get hardly any views. And maybe a lot of people don't like it. But there's almost always somebody in the comments that's like, oh, this is exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
And that makes me like, do I wish it went better? Absolutely. Are we going to do that kind of video again?
Right.
Probably not. But I don't like to think of that as a failure. Like somebody was benefited by it. It's genuine. Like if we put out something and we realize like our data was messed up or something like that, then we want to correct it. That's not good. But
okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This is on a similar topic. Not quite. We'll see. Okay, so imagine YouTube was exactly the same as how it is now, but there was no opportunity for monetization at all. How would that change your perspective?
On or off? So you cannot benefit from your channel, like growing your brand or no? Okay.
Purely a creative outlet.
Whoa. I don't even know. I mean, a lot, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in this whole discussion, like kind of applying it to the discussion of publishing frequency or whatever. Like people can subscribe, maybe more people come to know you, but like you're not getting paid.
Yeah.
To do it.
Yeah. I guess the first thing I think of, which is something I do try to think of a lot on our channel, in my personal channel, is like, is there a net positive from them watching the channel? Because it's kind of freaky when you look at the like lifetime analytics of our channel. And especially if we combine all the channels in our brand and Income School, multiple lifetimes have been spent consuming our content. That's how many hours. And that feels like a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, some videos aren't going to resonate with everybody and they're going to watch it for half the video and realize that. And that's fine. But you want to have enough impact that if they spend 3 hours of their life watching your videos, it would save them 3 hours on growing their channel or benefit them more in some other factor in an equal amount to be worth their time.
Right.
To me, that's really important because it's easy to say like, well, it's art. So it doesn't matter if you like it and one person will like it, but you don't want to waste time and you don't want to add to the clutter online, which is a lot. There's a lot of content on the internet. I argue there doesn't really need to be more.
Yeah.
I would like there to be more quality content.
Right.
But overall, we don't just need more, even if it's art. I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah. That's a good take. I just think like how much it would change our process. You know, when we look at, when we look at, you know, we publish a video like we were kind of talking about, it's a 10 out of 10. Why do we care?
Yeah.
You know, why does it matter that the video we just published was a 10 out of 10? Well, it's because we're ranking them on performance metrics. Whereas with no monetization, you know, especially for us teaching YouTube, you know, people don't need to get 1,000 subscribers anymore. They don't need to get 4,000 watch hours anymore. It's just how to be successful on the platform.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it's just like all these sort of superficial success signs and benchmarks, they just kind of fade away and people could just make videos that they like. And I think that when you take away all of the benefits of doing YouTube, like financial benefits that a lot of people are after, I think a lot of people wouldn't do it. Right. I honestly think they wouldn't do it. You know, I think about how many videos are on my personal channel right now that I would have made even if there was no possibility of me ever making money. It's probably less than 10 out of over 100.
And I wonder if you ever would have gotten started enough to even made and publish those.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think it's an interesting conversation or question anyway, just because you should really look inside and figure out what are your motivations here. Because I think that will severely impact why you're creating, how you're creating, what types of videos you're creating. Anyway, kind of ties in. Yeah. Kind of ties in a little bit.
How do you think your process would differ?
I think that I would probably not hold to as strict of a publishing schedule. Mm-hmm. It would probably be more of a, what do I have on my mind? What do I want to make? Is it going to take me a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Who cares?
Do you think you would spend more or less time per video?
Probably more.
Yeah.
I think more over a longer period of time, because the only thing that would be driving me is maybe providing value to some extent, but also just me wanting to put something out there that could represent me, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of this very art take on it, which I'm enjoying more and more lately, I think. Of course, I love the analytics and I love all that, but if there's nothing on the line, no business, you know, prospects on the line, no money on the line, it just wipes away so many reasons to make these decisions about especially publishing schedule.
Some of my best videos, I think, were ones that I did put out just because I really wanted the information to be out there. Yeah. Even if I thought like, oh, this isn't really going to help my channel. Maybe it's kind of off topic, but I just need to get this out there. And then it's like the best. And so what do? You don't want to be all over the place. And I think that is the biggest risk with this, because I think in a lot of cases, you're going to make more content, better content, be more motivated if you are making just what you want to make instead of what you think will make you money. But then the biggest risk with that is the whole, what's your channel topic? And are you getting too off topic? And then you see channels with videos all over the place, and those channels don't do well. Good
point. You still do need some strategy. And that's a good point, because even if you took monetization away, if you want to make an impact, there's still strategy that you need. And you can't just make a video about crochet and then make a video about gardening and then make a video about international space exploration. You're like, you actually have to strategize a little bit in order to impact the audience you want to impact. So that's a good point.
Yeah. But the creator you were talking about at the beginning, do you know his name?
Yeah, Michael Reeves.
Okay. he's doing engineering content, and it's all pretty similar niche, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So he's still following that part of it.
Yes. Yeah. He definitely has a style and a niche. All his videos are kind of, very interesting, engaging. Even if you don't know him, you could still be interested in what he's doing. So he's done a really good job, maybe intentionally or unintentionally. But I just think he has a really unique approach, to not create if he doesn't feel like it. And again, he kind of has that luxury because he has 7 million subs and he can put out a video once a year. And if it does well, he can probably make just enough money to live for a year before he makes his next video. So it's kind of from a place of, success that he can do that. If you're a small creator, you really can't if you want any of the benefits of YouTube. You really have to kind of grind it out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. But you don't have to think of it as a grind. Like I try very hard to, especially lately with everything in my life, but try to enjoy the process and kind of pretend. Like I even thought about that here at work last week because I was thinking about how much I really love it here. But I still watch the clock sometimes because I have stuff I want to get done and it never feels like I have enough time to sleep or run errands or whatever, right? But then I thought, what if I just pretend while I'm here that like I'm not even getting paid to do it? Which I thought of this because we had been talking about a similar thing of, if you would make videos if you weren't paid for it, or how people, when they start businesses, like they suddenly don't want to do it anymore because then they're getting paid for it and then it's work. So I thought, well, what if I did the opposite and I pretended that? And I honestly think I would like show up here several hours a week if I wasn't getting paid for it. Just because of how much we learn and how much we work together.
Yeah.
Applying that when I am working on anything in my life, but especially YouTube things. Yeah. And just trying to enjoy the process as if you don't have to do it.
Right.
That will really get you kind of in the mood to create and get you inspired. At least for me, it helps a lot instead of just the pressure of like, I got to get a video out because I need to make money. And I told myself I'm going to publish once a week. And like, even if all that's true, just sit down and start and pretend like you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
For goodness sake.
That's a really good way to look at things. I've been having this conversation with some of my family members, similar, where we talk about retirement. And it's kind of a joke because I'm in my mid-20s and we're talking about retirement.
You're well on your way.
Yeah. Like, that's the goal, though. It's funny, but it's like, I would love to retire early. That's a cool goal. But we always have the conversation, but then what?
Right.
And then it's like, what do you find to do after? Because like, I think for a lot of people, work or family responsibilities or things like that give you meaning and purpose. And once you take that away, I know a lot of people in retirement who kind of don't feel like they have much purpose anymore. They kind of sit around and don't do much.
Don't people on average die a lot sooner after they retire?
Yep. And so I think kind of to bring it all back together, it's just like there should be purpose in what you're doing aside from, someone like just going to a job. If you're just showing up to get paid, whatever, like, yes, that's good. We all have to work. But if you can find purpose in what you're doing, it's going to mean a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the goal here is to figure out how can you, go through the motions, spend the hours, do the editing, do all the filming, but then find purpose in it and enjoy it along the way.
Yeah, find that inherent enjoyment along the way and with the result. And then if you get some money, that's great too.
Right.
And it's fine to think about the money, but just don't kill yourself.
Yeah. That's a very motivating aspect. And I think for a lot of people trying to learn YouTube, most people are trying to figure out some sort of side income.
Yeah.
And YouTube has a very low barrier to entry cost wise. I think it's a great one for people who want to explore an interest or a passion, but it is easy to only feel motivated when you can see money and then to not feel motivated at all when you don't see any. And I think that's why a lot of people struggle with success is because most people won't be successful on YouTube in the first year or the second year, maybe even the third year. In one of the studies, it was like 120 or 130 videos before most people get monetized, which is like typically like $50 to $100 a month. So it's a difficult journey, but if you can find purpose, it can be really meaningful.
And even when you do, I think that's why we see so many big creators quitting because then they've made this big business and all these employees and it's work to them now.
Yep.
They can't just enjoy it. It feels like a job and then they start to hate it.
Yep. Really
so
good
that's
point.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's on the whole other side of things. Yeah. But it's funny that someone who's very successful can experience the same things.
Yeah, you're never going to escape it. Maybe you're doing it for the money, but if you hate it now, you're gonna hate it.
Yep.
No matter how big you get, you're still gonna hate it. Maybe you'll like the money. Maybe it'll feel more worth it, but you're not gonna just start suddenly enjoying it. I don't think.
Yeah, I think you're right. A lot of creators who are very big and very successful, we see them either quit or kind of move away from, off platform or whatever, or they'll pivot into like a different style of content. Yeah. Maybe they'll start a podcast as a creative outlet, or a second channel where they're vlogging their life. Like we see that all the time. And I have a big hunch that a reason we see those channels pop up is because they want to re-engage the creativity aspect and to feel purpose in content, something they enjoy. And a lot of times that means a second channel.
Yeah. I don't know what the takeaway is, but enjoying the process, trying different video types. I want to try mixing it up more on our channel in the future. I think we have some interesting ideas for that. So yeah, good conversation. Yeah,
try some new things. I think to me, that's kind of the takeaway. Yeah. If you're publishing once a week, do you like it? Great. If you don't, try something new.
Yeah. It's either quit now or quit later if you don't like it. So figure that out.
Yeah.
Try things new. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Thank you, Nathan. Talk to you next week.
See ya.